Hello everyone and welcome to my module. Today I will be showing you the process of writing up a proposal for a new group or an organization on campus. This is a great new skill to learn even if it doesn't directly apply to your social work project. Writing up a proposal is similar to creating an outline or a graphic organizer, and it really helped me get all of my thoughts organized together for my project. Writing a proposal is a great strategy for establishing organizational or community change because it's a plan detailed down to the letter. It can be presented in an official capacity, outlining all of the ways your proposed plan will implement community change and how it will play out. It outlines structures, financials, and other necessary information, as well as quantifies the need for what you're proposing. For this module, I will be presenting my process for creating a proposal for a peer-run sexual and gender-based misconduct advocacy group on Skidmore's campus. Please note that this is only the first draft of my proposal and that every proposal is going to be a little bit different depending on what it's for. My objective by the end of this module, though, is that you will gain a general understanding for what a proposal looks like and elements that you should think about including in a proposal. The first step in writing up a proposal is writing a description of the proposed program and the program's goals. I got the information for this from the project proposal that Sammy and I wrote for Kelly. So this is a copy of my description and program goals for my project. So the description is that this group would facilitate conversations about SGBM on campus, and that they would also provide advocacy and a hotline for students both indirectly and directly affected by instances of SGBM. I then included 3 basic goals and then added a little bit of a conclusion down here. Next, you will want to include a timeline of your project. In your timeline, include projected steps and actions for the future, similarly to how we did in our timelines for Kelly. This shows drive, ambition, and commitment to the people that you are presenting your proposal to. I'm not including an example of my timeline because I think we all know what a timeline is and I don't want to waste your time. So include a timeline. After writing the description of the proposed program as well as the program's goals, you should then identify the need that your program is addressing, justify how your idea addresses this need, and then show how existing programs do not support this need in the way that you can. Additionally, you should only be discussing gaps in current services. You should not talk about how a service is not doing its job, because that's an opinion, not a fact. So, the identified need for our project was that students at Skidmore have been and will continue to be survivors of sexual assault. These students are not utilizing current crisis services that are provided by Skidmore because they are off campus or because the counseling center only offers 8 counseling sessions per academic year. There were several ways to justify how our idea addressed this need, and the first way was to show how existing programs did not support this need in the way that we could. So, a foreseeable barrier that we had to address was the fact that our program is very similar to what is offered by the peer health educators and the victim advocates, as well as services provided by Wellspring and the Counseling Center. In my proposal, I have outlined how the Wellness Center and PHEs are not addressing this need in the way that we could with our proposed program. Additionally, I have identified a gap in services which regards to SCEMS. Additionally, community resources such as Wellspring and Planned Parenthood are not often utilized. When I interviewed Jen McDonald, she stated that students that she refers to Wellspring often never end up going. By identifying examples of how your program can fill the gap of services, your proposal will be stronger and your idea will be taken more seriously. The next portion of your proposal will be to include additional research and resources that quantify the need to whomever your proposal is going to. The need needs to be quantified in order for your proposed program to be deemed essential. Places where you can get this information is stakeholders and information that they provide to you via interviews, survey data. What I did was create an interest survey about my program, and you can also get statistics from other reputable sources. I interviewed the current program director for Ears for Peers, which is a peer advocacy group for sexual assault that is located on Tufts University. And their program coordinator graciously sent me their manifesto for when they created their program in 1989, which is pretty cool. And so I'm going to just quickly read some quotes from their proposal because they're very interesting to me. The dean of students and some faculty members had many concerns and reasons that it was impossible and would never work, but they agreed that it was a good idea. This is in reference to their program. They refused, however, to acknowledge that it was a necessary service. The administration will not pay a cent, even though they've given verbal approval that this was a good idea, because they claim that it is a student recognized need, and if they felt it was crucial, it would have already been established. The reasons that we were able to win over the administration and successfully establish Ears for Peers is that we had all of the answers to their questions and concerns as a result of our research. This, to me, is an extremely important example as to why this research portion of your proposal is so important. Because just because your idea is good doesn't mean that it will be approved, doesn't mean that it's needed. You have to use research and data and fact to be able to prove to whoever this proposal is going to that what you're doing is absolutely essential to the community. Another example of including research and resources in your proposal is conducting an interest survey. What I did for my project was create a survey using Google Forms for a proposed sexual and gender-based misconduct advocacy group run by students. I made sure very clearly to indicate that this was a proposed program. It's very important to include that it is a proposed program so that people responding to this survey do not think that it has already been approved, especially if they are part of the faculty or the administration and haven't approved it yet. You want to make sure that it's clear that this has not been approved. This is a really great way to gain student interest as well as gain student support. Now, if you look at the responses to this survey, I can include screenshots of this data in my proposal to show the school that students feel that there is a high extent of sexual and gender-based misconduct affecting the community, and that they think that our program would benefit the community, and that the services that we offer would benefit the community. A final example of how you can justify the need for your program is using statistical research. I gained the following statistics from Jen McDonald, which includes help seeking, the percentage of students that went to go seek out help, and where they sought that help out. So, for example, victim advocates are 60% likely or definitely to be sought out for assistance, whereas PHEs, Student Wellness Center, Campus Safety, those are all a lot lower down. So I can use this information when justifying that my program will benefit this population and will support the need. The next portion of your proposal will include the current programs or services that you provide or plan on providing, any partnerships that you have, and any objectives from that. In terms of the information for partnerships, you should include what they're providing, what are the benefits and what are not benefits of that, and what are the costs affiliated with that. So an example for that is that Sammy and I will be partnering with Wellspring, hopefully, and they have offered to provide us free trainings as well as to supervise us and provide ongoing supervision, which would assure confidentiality, which was one of the concerns that people brought up. They would also have us volunteering at Wellspring so we could keep our skills current. So things like that is what you would include in this section. The next portion of your proposal will include a proposed program structure. Things to include within this section would be who or which people are leading your group, how your group will operate, and budget and financials for your program. So in my case, who is in charge in leading this? Wellspring would oversee us, and it would be run by the students. In the words of Wellspring, anything that is on a campus should be student run, which is awesome. There are several ways in which our group will operate. We will be a confidential resource, which means that wherever our location is, we need to have a lockbox so that we can keep all of our information confidential. Additionally, in this section, because I am working on a program that needs to be a confidential resource, I need to include examples on how this will actually be put into place. There are 2 forms that need to be signed by advocates in order for confidentiality to be assured. Also, we are having Wellspring oversee our program for that reason so they can also assure confidentiality. The first one is a FERPA, and this is a form where the following information found over here is released to Skidmore: your transcript, disciplinary records, recommendations for employment, etc. And basically, this is what I had to fill out for SCEMS in order to confirm that I was in good standing and able to perform that job. Additionally, in order to assure confidentiality, I have to draft up a form that advocates would have to sign before actually going on calls and stuff, that they would maintain confidentiality. This is extremely important when dealing with sensitive populations, such as people who have been affected by sexual assault. So the following 3 images are from this website called Rocket Lawyer, and I wouldn't recommend using this for actual legal things. But I have a couple examples of different language that can be used when writing up a confidentiality agreement. So this one just talks about how you can't, discuss things about sales. This is a non-disclosure agreement, so it's a little bit different. But a lot of this language is something that I would want to use. Additionally, protecting confidential information, that you can't talk about it, you can't copy or modify it, you can't use it at all unless you've been given explicit permission to from that person. And so this is extremely important to include. It would also be during this portion of your proposal that you would discuss the longevity of your program. It's important to talk about how your program will live on past your involvement if you want it to be approved, because any group or organization, especially Skidmore College, will not approve something if it will not last. The next portion of your proposal will include a program evaluation section. Within this section, you're going to want to discuss how you're going to assure the quality of service. We call this quality assurance. You'll also include examples on how to build or improve your program, as well as how you will gain feedback from your program. I do not have an example for this because we have only just recently partnered with Wellspring, so we haven't actually had time to come up with this portion. The final portions of your proposal should be your appendix and your references. Your appendix will include any charts or information that you reference. So for example, any of the screenshots of data that I include would go in the appendix, and I would label them accordingly and then reference them above in the proposal. Finally, the references should be all of the resources that you used, whether those are interviews in person, over the phone, if you watched a video, if you used any data, things like that. Here is an appendix that I created with Maya for our 241 research class. You should always have appendix entries on separate pages as well as references, both on separate pages, so just as a visual. In short, a proposal is a great way to gather all of the information about your program together, as well as present it formally to someone for funding or to have it be included in your college. Make sure to check out the description box down below because I have a link of a grant proposal, which is not the same as a proposal for presenting to your school, but is very similar. My program is not going to be applying to a grant because Wellspring will be providing everything for free, but it's just a very good example of how you should formulate a formal proposal. On the next slide, you will see my discussion questions for this module, and thank you so much for watching.